All right, welcome back to the program. It's time for us to get into our second conversation, and we're looking at tech innovation in public procurement. I have three of my guests joining me right now virtually. Also, my first guest, can I see them, please? Okay, I can see all three of you. Welcome to the program. Can you hear
Thank
me?
you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, I have Vershima Tingir, who is the lead software developer, PPDC. I have Charles Mbah, program officer, Dataphyte. And is that Nneka?
Yes.
Oh, hello, Nneka. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
Happy Women's Day or
And
Happy
you
Women's
too.
Month, because we're still in
Yes,
March.
a
So,
month.
yes, I see the other
Yes.
guys are smiling. It's a Women's Month, so, and I'm happy anytime a lady is
Yes.
on set with me. So, Nneka Odenigbo is the program officer, Present Lab. Let's get started. And let me start by, let's establish a background in the sense that public procurement is quite essential in the provision of perhaps fixed infrastructure for public use in any country. And because of how important it is, you also find a lot of gray areas, and corrupt government officials take advantage of that to siphon the citizens because it's our money. How can we really, stop that in terms of those gray areas being filled up? I'll be biased again. Nneka, can you just take this before I come over to the guys?
Okay, sorry. There's
Yes.
a system that has been initiated called the open contracting. So it's a way of uploading uploading the procurement data for each ministry, department, and agency on a website. So it's the procurement open contracting website where they upload all their procurement information from start to finish so that the citizens are able to see how the public funds are being spent and what it is spent on.
Okay. Let me bring in Charles here then. Charles, do you want to say anything about what I also asked Nneka?
Yeah, like Neka said, to me, it's making use of technology. And one of such technologies like creating an e-procurement platform, which could also use the open contracting and standard, like Neka said. And that would mean, collecting or putting data together, beginning from data all along the whole procurement ecosystem, beginning from the tendering process down to the contracting process, even at the stage of monitoring, putting these data together in a structured format, and not just it being a structured format, also ensuring that it is easily accessible. Right. So if this can be done, it will give citizens a platform to be able to, carry out different kind of analysis, or even just by mere looking at it, pinpoint one or two red flags that would be able to say, okay, here is a possible case of corruption, or here is a possible case of fraud or so. Yeah.
Okay, if we're talking about public procurement now, let me ask Vershima, what role do you see technology playing in the public procurement process, and why is it important, especially at this time in the country? Vershima, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. So when we're talking about public procurement, we know that public procurement is a process of acquiring goods and services, but then for citizens. But then this process itself is made up of different processes that start from the needs assessment to putting out bids for people to engage with, for private sector to, bid for contracts down to the point of contract award and implementation. So when you think about this entire process, there are a lot of opportunities where tech can play a role, in facilitating this public procurement. But I think personally, one of the roles that I see that are very important is around managing and ensuring participation. right? Because when you talk about public procurement, there are a lot of, you know, there are a lot of people who are interfering with the processes. For instance, the government body who is responsible for carrying out this procurement has to interface with BBP, who is the procurement regulator, has to interface with the contractors. The private sector has to interface with Ministry of Finance for payments and things like that. So having a tech solution or tech solutions that are able to manage these processes and, you know, make sure that all the stakeholders that need to be involved in this process, you know, are well engaged and their inputs are well taken. And one of the things, or one of the main stakeholders that I didn't mention was the citizens, or the people who these goods and services are done for. Having people be, you know, part of that process, engage with the process. It's just like a situation where you have money, you send somebody to buy, for instance, mango for you, and you don't have any say in what mango is being bought, who is the provider of this mango and things like that. So having citizens, how much is it, you know, and all that. So having citizens and as the main stakeholders engage in this process, you know, is one of the one of the key areas in which tech can play a role in public procurement.
Okay, let me come back to Charles with what you've just said in terms of citizens' engagement, because we must know what is being procured, at how much, and all those necessary information. Are there examples of platforms where citizens can actually log on to find information on public procurement? Charles, that question is for you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nancy. In Nigeria, yes, there are platforms. We have the Bureau of Public Procurement platform, but then that platform is quite limited because there are some features of the platform that are inaccessible. And then also the data, most of the data on that platform are actually incomplete, in the sense that, take for instance, you could have a full procurement data set, and then looking through that data set, you could have something like the contracted amount, but you wouldn't have something like the budgeted amount, right? So that kind of creates a certain limitation in carrying out a data analysis or pinpointing a certain red flag in the procurement process. Then apart from the Bureau of Public Procurement platform, there is also, I think the state government also seeks to have a public procurement platform, in as much as I've not accessed that. Yeah, but these platforms are those that I'm very sure and aware of.
Okay, let me come back to you, Nneka. If you can share some of the challenges that people like you that work in that space find, and perhaps what those challenges are, doing to impede an open and transparent process in our public procurement process.
Thank you, Nancy. So we noticed that training, so the procurement officers within the ministries, departments, and agencies do not really have the training or the skill to be able to upload or ensure that these information are being uploaded on the website. So there's that lack of consistency in training. As you know, the Nigerian public service, anybody can get transferred at any time. So when a particular person is being trained, the person can be transferred to another ministry or department or agency, leaving a capacity gap within this agency or ministry. So that's one of the problems that they are facing right now. And also that most of these ministries, departments, and agencies are not they're not financially equipped to train their staff. So there's no budget for internal training, internal capacity building within the ministries, departments, and agencies. So they just rely solely on the training being done by the Bureau of Public Procurement every year. And that sometimes it doesn't really get to all the MDAs. Some of them are being left out sometimes, and they don't get trained for maybe 2-3 years. So these are mostly the problem. And then some of them do not also have that knowledge of open contracting processes and procedures. That some of the procurement officers, they don't have that.
Nneka, these challenges which you've talked about now are huge challenges. And let me come back to, I don't know, is it Charles now or Vershima that will take this angle of this question, because you've talked about skills. Some of those challenges that are being faced right now, what recommendations can you give? Charles, can you just use a minute to talk about some of the recommendations that will help mitigate those challenges, and Vershima too?
Okay, for me, I'll look at the mitigation for these challenges from two sides. One, both the supply side, which is the government, and also the demand side, which is from the citizens. So for the government, like Nneka has said, you know, most of the staff in these public procurement agencies, they have limited capacity to, you know, upload documents online. And definitely, most times there are, you know, trained components in budget of these procurement agencies, right? So I feel like these agencies should try as much as possible to, you know, leverage on a lot of these budgets that are being, you know, allocated for training in their budget, you know, to ensure that they give training to their staff, especially by working with civil society organizations and also organizations that are into data analysis. Then on the citizen side, one mitigation is
Oh, okay. Seems that Charles's network isn't cooperating with us. Vershima, just take that quickly. If we can get Charles later. Vershima, are you still there? Oh, okay. The network has frozen on us. All right, if we can still get them back, just so that we can conclude the program in just 2-3 minutes. For those of you watching and you want to join the conversation, you can do that. You can do that on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, as well as on Instagram. We're talking about tech innovation in public procurement. We've seen over the years issues around public procurement process, issues of inflation or inflation of contracts, issues of, if for example this pen is selling in the marketplace for 100 naira or 50 naira, you see it there perhaps being sold for 50 naira and nobody's asking questions. Or has it been bought? How many was bought? Was it taken to where it is needed? These are some of the issues. Thank you all for being a part of the show today. Be the best you can be the change you want to see. I am Nancy Nnnaji. Bye for now. Thank you for watching our video. Please hit the subscribe button below, turn on post notification to follow all our updates.